Made for all sizes from ages 2 up till adult 5XL, this polka crop cardigan will be your go-to cardigan this fall. Hey friends, I hope you're all doing well and staying warm. And speaking of staying warm, I want to share with you my latest pattern that comes with polka dots. I mean, it's cute and everything, but it can't be any cuter than my model Maddie over here. And if you want to make one too, grab the materials and let's get started. For this pattern, you'll need Kobu Lion Brand yarn in the color Silver Argent and Trubu Lion Brand yarn in the color Mushroom Champignon. You'll also need a 4mm crochet hook, some stitch markers, a tapestry needle, and some buttons. To start, we'll be working on the width of your chest circumference. I am making a little girl size in size 8, and with the silver yarn, I'll be working a total of 63 chains. And for all the other sizes, you can get them in the link below. Make sure to end yours on an odd number. Once you've completed all your chains, it should be a little bit stretchy like this. To start the next row, we'll chain once more, and into that second chain from your hook, you'll yarn over. You'll insert your hook into that second chain from your hook. You'll drop a loop. You'll yarn over and pull through all loops. This will be your half double crochet stitch. You'll continue to work the half double crochet stitch into each chain all the way across. Once you've completed all your chains on your last stitch, you'll chain one and you'll turn your work. For the next row, you'll skip that turning chain and into that first stitch, you'll yarn over, insert your hook, you'll drop a loop, yarn over and pull through all loops as your half double crochet stitch. You'll work the half double crochet stitch into every stitch all the way across. And you'll do this for a total of 3 half double crochet rows. And once you're done with your third half double crochet, you'll chain one, and on the fourth row, we'll be starting our bobble stitch pattern. Before starting our polka dots or bobble stitches, we'll first have to spread out the number of bobble stitches per row. For size 8, I've made 63 chains, and I'll divide this number into multiples of 10. This will give me 5 bobbles and 13 stitches to split along the sides. This means I will have 6 stitches per side and 1 bobble stitch to start. So go ahead and work your half double crochet stitches. On your last stitch, before closing up that stitch, you'll go ahead and yarn over, drop a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook, and with your pointy finger you should hold on to the yarn at the back, and you'll go ahead and pick up your accent color. Now with the new color, you'll pull through that 3 loops on your hook to close up that last stitch. Now, to work on the bobble stitch, I find that leaving the silver yarn behind makes the bobble stitch pop out a little bit more. So let me just show you. You'll yarn over with the plum colored yarn. You'll insert your hook into that next stitch while working around the tail, but leaving the silver colored yarn behind. You'll drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we'll do this 4 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook, drop a loop, pull through 2. And you'll do that one more time. Once you have 6 loops on your hook, you'll drop the plum colored yarn and pick up the silver yarn. You'll yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. And this will be your bobble stitch. Then don't forget to pull the tail to tighten up the stitch. You'll yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch. You'll drop a loop, yarn over, and pull through all loops. This will be your half double crochet stitch after the bobble stitch. And if you turn your work behind, you'll be able to see this diagonal bar, which helps push the bobble stitch outwards. And this will help the bobble stitch pop out a little bit more. Now to start the next pattern sequence, we'll go ahead and work 9 half double crochet stitches. And don't forget to work around the excess tail, and we're carrying along the plum colored yarn as well. Once we've completed 8 half double crochet stitches, and for the 9th half double crochet, before closing up that stitch, you'll drop the silver yarn. You'll hold on to it at the back with your pointy finger. You'll pick up the plum color and you'll pull through to close up that stitch. And to prevent any yarn from puckering or being too loose, go ahead and pull the loop up and stretch out the yarn. Now for the next stitch, we'll be working the bobble stitch by working 5 unfinished half double crochet stitches into that next stitch. This is our 4th and our 5th unfinished half double crochet stitch, which will give us 6 loops on our hook. You'll drop the plum color, you'll pick up the silver yarn, and you'll pull through all 6 loops to close up that stitch. Yarn over. Into the next stitch, we'll work a half double crochet while working around the plum colored yarn to start our next pattern sequence. From here, you'll go ahead and work 9 half double crochet stitches followed by the bobble stitch all the way across, and then you'll finish off with the remaining half double crochet stitches along the edging. Once you've completed your last bobble stitch, go ahead and work the remaining half double crochets to close up the row. You should have the same number of half double crochet stitches as you did at the beginning of the row. And once you're done, you'll just chain 1 and go ahead and snip off the accent yarn. So now from here, we'll be working another 3 more rows of half double crochet followed by the bobble stitch row. So you'll go ahead and chain 1, turn your work, and work a half double crochet stitch, and you'll do this all the way across for 3 rows. Once you've completed all 3 rows, on our next row, we'll be working on the bobble stitch row. So instead of working the same number of stitches as we did on row 4, we will add 5 more stitches to the start of that row before switching yarn colors. This will give us alternate bubbles between the previous row's bobble stitches. So go ahead and work the same number of half double crochet stitches plus 5. And on that last stitch, before closing up the stitch, you'll go ahead and pick up the plum colored yarn to close up that stitch. And on the next stitch, you'll go ahead and work the bobble stitch while working around any excess tail except for the main body's yarn color. You'll work 5 unfinished double crochet stitches into the next stitch. And once you have 6 loops on your hook, you'll drop the plum yarn color and pick up the silver yarn color to close up that stitch. From here, you'll continue working the pattern of 9 half double crochet stitches followed by the bobble stitch all the way across. Once you've completed your bobble stitch rows, you should have one less bobble compared to the earlier row. And your bobble stitches should be in the center stitch between the bobble stitches on the previous row. These 8 rows will be your pattern repeat for the rest of the rows. For this size, I'll be working a total of 38 rows, and for all the other sizes, you can get them from the link below. So go ahead and work up the number of rows you need for your size, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. I've just completed all my rows, and this is my finished back panel. To start with the front panel, we will need to measure half the back panel's width minus 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters for the ribbing. I'll be working a total of 31 chains and a total of 29 rows until I've reached the bottom of the neckline. As for the bobble stitches, since I have 31 stitches, this will only give me 2 bobbles per row. So feel free to adjust your sides in order to get more bobbles on the next bobble row. For the next row, we'll be working on the neckline. We'll start by working a decrease on one side. You'll yarn over, insert your hook and drop a loop, yarn over again, insert your hook into the next stitch and drop a loop, yarn over and pull through all loops to close up the stitch. We'll do that one more time. You'll yarn over, insert your hook, drop a loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, you'll drop a loop, yarn over and pull through all loops. So you'll have 2 decreases just made. Next, you'll work a half double crochet stitch into each stitch all the way across. Once you've reached that last stitch, you'll chain 1, turn your work, and continue to half double crochet across until the 5th to last stitch, and you'll continue to work 2 more decrease stitches into the next 4 stitches. You'll chain 1 and turn your work. Now, if your next row is a bobble stitch row, you'll just minus off the number of stitches that you've already made. In my case, I've made 4 decrease stitches, and I've worked 5 half double crochet stitches along the sides. So after making another 2 decrease stitches on this row, it will take me to the 7th stitch, which is past my bobble stitch count. In this case, I will skip the first bobble and continue working on the pattern sequence as normal. So go ahead and continue to work 2 decrease stitches. And continue with the remaining half double crochet stitches until you've reached the next bobble stitch. Just before reaching that bobble stitch, go ahead and pick up the plum yarn color and pull through to close up that last stitch. You'll work your bobble stitch as normal. You'll close up the bobble stitch and you'll work the remaining half double crochet stitches until you've reached your next bobble stitch. So you'll work another 9 half double crochet stitches before switching to the bobble stitch again, and you'll repeat the pattern all the way across. You'll chain 1, turn your work, and I'll meet you at the next row. For this size, I'll only need to work 5 decreased rows, which makes this my last row. So you'll go ahead and complete all your decreased rows, and for all the other sizes, go and check them out in the link below. Once you've completed all your decreased rows, you'll stop decreasing and just work regular half double crochet stitches all the way across. Chain 1, turn your work, and you'll continue with the bobble pattern sequence as normal until you've reached the same number of rows as the back panel. Once you've completed all your rows, you should have a neckline just like this. Now we'll go ahead and work on the other side. You'll work the same number of foundation chain as this side, and when working on the bobble row, you'll just swap row 4 with row 8. And vice versa. This will make both panels aesthetically balanced. You will work the same number of rows until just before the decrease rows and work the decrease on the opposite end. Now go ahead and work the number of rows up till the decrease line, and I'll meet you back here to start the decrease. As you can see, after swapping row 4 with row 8 and the other way around, you'll get a nice symmetrical bobble stitch spread across both panels. Now, instead of doing the decrease on the right side, we will now work the decrease on the left side. Go ahead and work your half double crochet all the way across up till the 5th to last stitch, and we'll work the decrease once we get there. Once you've completed all your half double crochet stitches, when you're at the 5th to last stitch, you'll go ahead and work 2 half double crochet decrease stitches into the next 4 stitches. Chain 1, you'll turn your work, and on the decrease side, you'll work another 2 half double crochet decreases into the next 4 stitches. Now you'll just work your half double crochet stitch all the way across, and just like how you work on the other side, you'll go ahead and work the same number of decreased rows as you did on the first panel. Once you've completed all the decreased rows, you'll just go ahead and work the remaining rows as you did on the other side without working any more decreases. And once you're done, your front panel should look something like this. Next, we'll be working on the sleeves. For this size, I'll be working 43 chains and 40 rows. I'll work the bobble stitch pattern using the exact same pattern sequence, and I'll meet you back here once you've made yours. Once you've completed working on all the rows, you'll turn to the row side, and without binding off, you'll pick up the same loop and you'll work a loose single crochet stitch into every row's post. So go ahead and insert your hook through that first row, work your single crochet. You'll find the second row, you'll insert your hook at the top of the post and work another single crochet. So you'll do this into every row's post all the way across. And once you're done, bind off and we'll work on the cuffs. Insert your hook into that first stitch and you'll pick up the plum colored yarn. You drop a loop and chain 1 to secure. Now we'll chain 6 more chains. And we'll chain once more to start the next row. Now into the second chain from your hook, you'll insert your hook, drop a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. This will be your single crochet stitch. You'll work 5 more single crochet stitches all the way down, You'll skip the first stitch, and into the second stitch on the sleeves, you'll work a slip stitch followed by a second slip stitch into the next stitch. Turn your work clockwise. You'll skip the previous 2 slip stitches that you just made, and into the third stitch, which is basically the first stitch on the cuffs, you'll insert your hook into the back loop and work a single crochet back loop stitch. You'll do this all the way across. Once you've reached the top of the row, chain 1, you'll turn your work clockwise and work another row of back loop single crochet stitches all the way down. And just like before, you'll work 2 slip stitches on the sleeves. You'll turn your work clockwise. You'll skip that previous 2 slip stitches and work your single crochet back loop stitch all the way to the top. Now you'll just be repeating the back loop single crochet stitch into every stitch while working your way across the sleeve. Once you're done with the ribbings, you'll just bind off and fold the sleeve wrong side facing outwards. And we'll be seaming the sides. If you prefer, you can grab some stitch markers and pin them along the sides so that the edges are aligned nicely together. Now I prefer to start at the top of the sleeve. So I'll remove that first stitch marker. I'll insert my hook into the first stitch on both sides. I'll take my silver yarn color, I'll pull through and chain 1 to secure. Now I'll insert my hook through both pieces while working around any excess tail, and I'll work a single crochet stitch. I'll work my single crochet stitch into every stitch all the way across. On your last stitch, you'll just chain 1 and bind off. Turn the sleeves right side out, making sure that the seam side is folded at the bottom, and this is how your completed sleeve should look like. Now go ahead and make a second piece. And once you've completed both sleeves, it is now time to assemble. With the wrong side facing outwards, place the front panel on top of the back panel. You will measure your arm opening and place a stitch marker to mark where the seam ends. In my case, I've placed a stitch marker 6.5 inches or 17 centimeters from the top. I've also placed several stitch markers along the corners to secure both pieces together. Now let's turn to the sides. I'll remove the first stitch marker. I'll insert my hook through both pieces and I'll pull up the silver yarn. I'll chain 1 to secure. Now, just like before, I'll insert my hook through both pieces while working around any excess tail. I'll work my single crochet stitch, and because this is the rose post side, just go ahead and work even single crochet stitches along the side of the rose all the way until the next stitch marker. And once you've reached that next stitch marker, you'll just chain 1 to secure and bind off. Go ahead and work on the top of the shoulders as well as the other side. Once you've completed seaming all sides, we'll now work on the front ribbing. Now with the right side facing outwards, you'll go ahead and insert your hook at the bottom of the front panel, and with the silver yarn, you drop a loop and chain 1 to secure. Now you'll go ahead and work a single crochet stitch into every rose post. And don't forget to work around any excess tail and make sure your single crochet stitches are not too tight. Now you'll go ahead and work the single crochet stitch into every stitch all the way across until the neckline down towards the other side. Once you've worked your way all the way down towards the other side, you'll chain 1 and turn your work. On this row, we'll be working the half double crochet stitch into each stitch all the way across. Once you've completed your half double crochet row, you'll bind off and you'll place a stitch marker where the neckline starts to decrease. You'll do this on both sides, and now we'll be working on the ribbing. Depending on the number of rows you've made before the decrease, you'll divide the number into 3, 4, or 5, depending on how many buttons are able to fit nicely. I will be dividing the rows into 4 sections to fit 4 buttons. Make sure to leave some space along the top and bottom as well. I am using a 0.8 inch or a 2 centimeter size button for this project. Now you'll turn your work to the side and you'll insert your hook at the bottom of the front left panel. And to start with the ribbing, we will start with 8 chains. Now I'll chain once more to start the next row. Now you'll insert your hook into the second chain from your hook and you'll work a single crochet. You'll continue to work the single crochet into every chain all the way down. Once you've completed 8 single crochet stitches, you'll skip that first stitch and work 2 slip stitches along the body panel. Now you'll turn your work clockwise and you'll skip that 2 slip stitches, and into the third stitch you'll insert your hook through the back loop and work a single crochet stitch. You'll continue to work the single crochet back loop stitch into every stitch all the way to the top. Chain 1, you'll turn your work clockwise. Now back down, you'll just repeat the back loop single crochet stitch all the way across. And you go ahead and do this for another 3 more rows. Now for my next row, I'll be working on the buttonhole. Go ahead and place your button along the ribbing and see how many stitches it would take to create that buttonhole. For me, it would be a space of 2 stitches. This would mean I would have to make 3 stitches before making the buttonhole. So I'll go ahead and skip my 2 slip stitches. Into my third stitch, I'll be working my back loop stitch. I'll be doing this for 3 stitches. And for the next stitch, I'll work 2 chains and skip 2 stitches. And then I'll continue working the back loop single crochet stitch all the way across. I'll chain 1, and before you go on to your next row, just try to fit the button through and make sure that it's not too loose. If it goes through nicely with a little bit of resistance, that is what we're looking for. From here, I'll be working a total of 5 rows before working my next buttonhole. So go ahead and continue with the ribbing pattern until you've reached the stitch marker. Once you've completed all your rows, it should look something like this. And if you compare the height of the left ribbing to the height of the right stitch marker, this is completely normal. Now let's go ahead and work on the other side. You'll insert your hook at the bottom of the right panel. You'll drop a loop, chain 1 to secure. Now you'll chain 8, and just like how you worked the ribbing on the left side, you'll do the exact same thing on the right side without making any buttonholes. And you'll do this all the way until you've reached the stitch marker. Once you've completed all your rows, it should look something like this. Now let's go ahead and work on the bottom ribbing. Go ahead and turn your work, and with the plum yarn color, you'll insert your hook into that first stitch along the button ribbing. You'll drop a loop, chain 1 to secure. To start the ribbing, we'll chain 8. Now we'll chain once more to start the next row. And just like how we worked on all the ribbings that we've done so far, you'll insert your hook into the second chain space and work that single crochet stitch. You'll do this all the way down. Once you've completed all your chains, you'll insert your hook into the second stitch and work 2 slip stitches. You'll turn your work clockwise and you'll skip the previous 2 slip stitches, and into that third stitch you'll insert your hook through the back loop and work that single crochet back loop stitch. You'll do this all the way to the top. You'll chain 1, you'll turn your work clockwise, and into that back loop you'll continue to work the single crochet back loop stitch all the way down. So you'll continue working the ribbing pattern all the way across the bottom of the panel until you've reached the other side, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. And once you've completed all your rows, a tip to prevent the corners from curling is to work one more row of slip stitches along that last row. You'll do this through both loops. This will stop any curling from happening. And once you're done, this is how the bottom ribbing should look like. Now let's go ahead and work on the collar. To start the collar, we'll insert a hook into that first stitch along the front ribbing and work our way in the round. So you'll go ahead and insert your hook into that first stitch, and we'll pick up the plum yarn color. We'll chain 1 to secure. From here, we'll be working single crochet stitches into every stitch all the way across. And don't forget to work around any excess tail. Once you've worked your way all the way until the other side of the front panel, you'll chain 1, you'll turn your work, and work another set of single crochet stitches along this row. For this size, go ahead and work a total of 12 single crochet rows, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Once you've completed all your rows, we will now work on the curved side of the collar by working decrease stitches. On your next row, you'll chain 1 and turn your work. On the next row, you'll be working a single crochet 2 together decrease stitch into the first and second stitch. Then you'll continue working the single crochet stitch all the way across until you've reached the third to last stitch. Once you've worked your way all the way across, you'll work the single crochet decrease stitch into that last 2 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work, and repeat the decrease rows for half the amount of rows as you did on the collar. In my case, I've worked 12 single crochet rows. That will mean I would need to make 6 decrease rows. So go ahead and work up the number of rows needed, and I'll meet you back here once we're done. Once you've completed all your rows, you should have a nice curve along the sides. But because of the nature of the stitch, you might find the sides curling inwards. But not to worry, we will fix this. You'll turn to the inner side of your collar and you'll insert your hook into the bottom stitch of the collar. Go ahead and pick up the same yarn color. You'll drop a loop, chain 1 to secure. Now we'll be working slip stitches into every row's post along the sides. So you insert your hook and work a slip stitch. You'll do this into that first row's post along the sides all the way across. Once you've completed all your slip stitches, it should look something like this, nice and tidy, nice and clean. For the last row, you'll chain 1 and turn your work. And to make the collar even more sturdier, we'll work a single crochet stitch. While working your single crochet stitch, make sure to insert your hook underneath that slip stitch that you worked on earlier and work around it. This will give the collar a nice thicker edging once completed. Once completed, bind off and you should have a pretty looking collar just like this. Now let's move on to the sleeves. With your sleeves right side out and your body panel facing the wrong side out, you'll insert the sleeve through the body panel with the armhole aligned with the body panel's opening. Make sure the sleeves are folded along the seams and is placed at the bottom. Now we'll secure the sleeves and the body panel with some stitch markers. Now you'll insert your hook at the bottom of the arm opening, and with the same yarn color, you'll drop a loop and chain 1 to secure. You'll insert your hook into the next space through both pieces. While working around any excess tail, you'll drop a loop and work a single crochet. You'll continue to work even single crochet stitches in the round, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Once you've worked your way in the round, you'll look for that first stitch and work a slip stitch. Chain 1 to secure and bind off. Turn the sleeves right side out and it should look something like this. Now go ahead and repeat the same steps on the other side. Now let's secure the buttons. Thread your tapestry needle with the silver yarn and place the button at the bottom of the ribbing next to the buttonhole. Once you're happy with the position, you'll twist the bottom of the yarn around your finger to create a knot, and you'll insert the needle through the back of the ribbing. I'll be making an X pattern. Once you're done, just weave in and bind off. Next, you will repeat the same step on the very top button. And once you're done with the top button, this will make it easier to adjust the remaining buttons in the middle. So go ahead and sew the remaining buttons on. And once you're done, weave in all loose ends and you're done. This crop cardigan is so soft and drapey, you'll want to sleep in it. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and do follow my channel if you haven't done so yet. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.